Hi everyone, welcome back to the Edgar Cayce Foundation. So today I'd like to talk to you about where we are at the foundation during this first month of 2021 and what we'll be working on moving forward the rest of the year. So we're continuing the processing work on the physical collections. So the readings collection is finished. We've done all of the processing and preservation work on that. About 287 boxes of material is complete. So we're moving on to the Edgar Cayce Foundation's own records. So this includes all of the different records from the research projects that were either sponsored by the foundation or undertaken directly by the foundation. So there are projects in archaeology, in health remedies from the readings, as well as other topics such as past lives. We also have records that deal with every development in accessibility of the readings since 1945. Over the years, the Foundation has used several strategies, from making paper reference copies, to making microfilm reels, to computer disks, and now the current online database. So the current numbering system that we use to identify the readings is based on recommendations from the Remington Rand Company, which was given to us in 1959. Gladys Davis and her staff understood that they needed to use cutting-edge office technology, and so they used these suggestions and also experimented with the different kinds of copying equipment available at the time. So here we've got a flowchart from the planning meetings for ECF. They were talking about this in 1948 and in the few years prior to this. So when the foundation was established, they knew they wanted to not only preserve the readings, but duplicate them so that they could be referenced by people all over the country. So you see we have here our original files, making microfilm reels of the files, which would give us our master copy that we can use for then making electrostatic prints and duplicate prints for research. Then the microfilm would also be used as our long-term master to be stored separately from these original paper files. Now originally, the foundation planned to have actual reference centers all over the country, several places where they'd have a full set of microfilm copies of the readings with a microfilm reader and a small reference library, and have these in large regions of the country so that people didn't necessarily have to travel all the way to Virginia Beach to access the readings. Now it took from 1948 up until 1959 for this project to actually come to fruition. So this is the original report given to the Edgar Cayce Foundation by Remington Rand. And so they gave recommendations for basically the records management of the entire organization. So you've got the readings and the indexing process. The indexing process would take until this year, till 1971 to complete. And they also addressed membership records and incoming mail. Now this was especially important because at this time there were reports coming in from reading recipients in great numbers. And so in order to keep all of the reports of the readings up to date, Gladys needed to see every piece of incoming mail to make sure that they were recording every single report. We have a lot of the literature that Remington Rand provided to the foundation as they were trying to figure out their strategy. And this is really interesting because it shows us a lot about the equipment that was being used, the early forerunners of our modern photocopiers. And this also shows that Gladys was really thinking about what other archives were doing at the time and how they could stay up to date with those practices. So you see that this dextrograph was being used by county recorders, so counties who used these types of equipment to keep up with their vital records, their birth, death, and marriage records as well. And so Gladys actually studied the archival literature at the time. In her collection, she has several books by early pioneers in the field that actually studied in archive school. So we've got books by Margaret Cross Norton, who was one of the early state and national leaders in that field, and also books by Sir Hilary Jenkinson, who was the leading archival scholar in the United Kingdom as well. So Gladys was really aware of best practices of her time and doing her absolute best to adapt those to our situation here with the Edgar Cayce readings. We also have several notebooks that she used during the process. So these are actually the same kind of steno notebooks that she would have used to record the readings, but in this instance, she was recording which readings had been prepared for the microfilming process. And we have all of the microfilm reels that resulted from this project in the foundation in climate-controlled storage. So the A.R.E collection is also on the list for preservation this year. A huge part of it is the publication series. So we have 90 years worth of newsletters, journals, and projects that reflect the dedication of the A.R.E staff and the creativity of its members. So cataloging and preserving these collections, knowing what we have, where it's located, and how to care for them, are the first essential steps toward future digitization work. So this will be a multi-year process, but will result in a virtual collection that will be accessible online. So very excited for the future of the work in the foundation. So if you have any questions about the work that's going on in the foundations, please leave your questions for me below and I'll be sure to answer them. Have a great rest of your day.